Nolan T. Painter, and in today's video, I would like to discuss the theme of letting a woman test you. Pardon me. Now, as a man, it's quite frequent that we're tested by women, right? The first thing that comes to our mind is conscious testing. So that could be like a woman testing your loyalty by having one of her friends message you in rather provocative way. And as a man, you would be responsible for denying them, right? Thus proving your loyalty. But while those are important, because it's too far in between that men nowadays get to prove their worth, and a good man will do anything to prove his worth, the truth is that more often than not, women subconsciously test their man rather than consciously doing so. Now, this might be a bit harder to understand, because how can a woman subconsciously test a man? Well, the truth is that women will put you in scenarios without realizing it that result in you being tested. So this could be like meeting her family, specifically her father, right? Talking with younger children, because women are naturally motherly and have, an appreciation for children. So how you treat younger children, how you treat publicity and people, how you're able to manage yourself, how hard you work. Now, you might be thinking, oh yeah, no, these are just observations of hers. But the reality is they're also tests. Because without realizing it, she is leading you into these situations, right? And you probably don't realize it either, right? She led you into the situation of you meeting her father, and she led you into the situation of you laying with her, and it was your responsibility to either ask for something or not ask for something, or ask for something and then be patient for it, right? Now, the main idea here is that the woman is subconsciously leading you into some sort of situation in which she will also subconsciously test you. So how is it possible that you could subconsciously test someone, right? Or without realizing it, how can you test someone? Well, as a man, you're always being tested. Always, right? Even on days you don't realize it, right? You think, oh yeah, I'm happy, I'm feeling full of energy, I'm ready to get tested. No, that's not how it works. You are tested as a man when you're tired, when you're fatigued, when you're not thinking about it. How all the time you're being tested, right? You asked her for something and you weren't patient enough. That's a bad thing. You didn't say the right thing to her family. That's a bad thing. You didn't compliment her the right way. That's a bad thing. You are being tested, right? While it is also evident that she is noting everything you do down mentally, because women naturally do that. They have an affinity for being effectively good at noting things down and being rather disciplined with social conversation. They're also incredibly good at testing, whether they realize it or not. So in all these different scenarios that I've mentioned and so much more, she is checking to make sure if you're really a good man. And if you are a good man, then you'll tick all the boxes. This becomes problematic when you don't get an opportunity to test, because a good woman, a good woman, not just any woman, but a good woman will test you. The average woman won't really care, but a good woman naturally will want her man to be better, and will test the man and will push him to his limits to be better. The same way, I'll address this a bit later, but the same way a man will push a woman to her limits and make her more feminine, the way she makes him more masculine through testing and trials. But yeah, the truth is a good woman will do that. She will want her man to be more masculine and naturally draw him towards tests to do so. Now, a man, on the other hand, a man will want his woman to be more feminine, a good man, that is. And in doing so, he will make his woman more feminine. He will lead her and care for her, and by succeeding the tests, she will slowly become more feminine. I'm proud of myself for having such an effect that I do make other women more feminine, as a result of me embracing my masculinity. And I think it's a healthy thing that you should be proud of. And allow me to correct myself. I said woman as if it was plural. It was really only one person in my life, one very important woman that I learned that lesson with. And as a man, you need to learn to embrace those tests to then have a more healthy dynamic where you become a man who is tested and braving the test, and your woman will then support you through these tests, rather than what you may think is just putting you through it for the fun of it, right? The goal here is that naturally a good woman will want a better man, and naturally a better man will want a good woman. And that's ultimately how a good relationship works. Now, in realizing this, you can make something even better. You can do all these tests and all these different trials, but by having effective communication, you can really make it so much, more effective. By having a girl who's completely understanding of her tiers of awareness and is at that third tier, and when you have a man who is the same, then you can have insane levels of communication and insane levels of dialect that allows for the exploration of these tests and so much more effective living, right? The conditions will be so much better, right? The problem is what happens when these conditions are met? Well, you get a lot of hurt, because you get a man who so desperately wants to be tested and so desperately wants to be given an opportunity to prove himself, but he can't because the woman doesn't want to have the opportunity or is too afraid. And this can result in, effectively a relationship falling apart because you don't have people being tested and things being proven. If a man is not constantly proving his worth, then he has none, right? It takes a really, really, really strong, incredibly strong bond for a woman to care for a man without improving his worth, right? That's stuff you only see in incredibly long-term relationships that are already incredibly healthy, where a woman can allow her man to be vulnerable for once and not prove his worth through tests. That takes a huge, huge, huge level of relationship. But for the most part, we can't even get to that because men fail and give up on the first few steps and the first few trials without realizing it. So it's incredibly important, if you want those long-term relationships where you can afford to have those moments of rest, then you need to complete all the trials and you need to push for it. You need to never give up. You need to keep on pushing, because you can do anything you want. You can get anything you want if you work hard enough. And that includes getting over every trial that your partner will set for you, right? And as a good man, each trial that you complete will make her a little bit closer to you. My name is Nolan T. Painter. Sorry it's a bit of a shorter video. I'm in a bit of a rush today, but regardless, thank you very much for watching.